Hey guys, my name is Bando, this is Breakfast of Bando, and I'm doing a hobby feedback video a little differently this time. So after the last hobby feedback, I asked everyone in the Discord to share with me their Dreadnoughts. And I've not done all of them here, but I've picked out some of my favourites. And I thought I'd go through them, because I really like Dreadnoughts. I have a lot of Dreadnoughts. So up first, I have got Toxic's World Eater's Dreadnought here. And it's good, but it could be better. So we'll start from the base and work our way up. I really like the base. It's got a wonderful kind of rough ferrous, like natural iron kind of look to it. I assume this is done with weathering powders. It doesn't draw the eye away from the model. And it's got some wonderful weathering that blend it into the model. So all in all, really well done. It's not an environment that looks like it's going to promote plant growth, so there's no sort of bushes or what are they called? Tufts or anything that are just thrown in willy-nilly that don't actually look like they belong there. It's good. It's good. I like it. So moving up, he's got the nice weathering on the armour. This is one of the best things about white armour is you can go absolutely crazy with your weathering. You know, it takes on the hues of the dirt around it. It gets chipped. It stains really easy. White's a great... White is such a fantastic, like, platform to work on. It's such a great, like... I can't think of the word. It's not easel. It's what you put on an easel. Doesn't matter. I will remember the word soon. But yeah, it is such a great platform to work from because you can really go crazy. You can learn all about glazing and streaking and grime and chipping, and it all looks really good on white. So I really like how the dirt is there. It's really well done. And the posing, what I really like here is the weight, right? The bend of the leg, because he is taking the weight on that stride. You know, the arms are posed correctly with the way it's swinging. The torso is slightly tilted in. You know, everything about this is showing momentum. It's showing weight. It's showing that this model isn't just something that's like T-posing. It's a fast-moving, relatively, you know, heavy machine. And I really like that. The metals on the legs, they're a little dull, I'll give you that. They could have done with a bit more work, maybe a little bit more contrast in them, but they don't draw your eye away from anything, so they're doing their job. I like that there is some blood on the model, but it's not overpowering. I think that's a problem with a lot of World Eater models, is people go just a bit too crazy with the blood. Which I get. That's what you want to do. It is World Eaters after all. But I think less is more when it comes to gore. Because at a certain point you lose the effect and it just becomes red. The decal work is very nice. It's subtle. It doesn't sort of overpower you. And they are in the places you'd expect decals to be. The verdigris is a little kind of slapdash. But you know, it's not too bad. It's not over the top. It's not the worst I've seen. That doesn't sound like a great, particularly, you know, nice thing to say. If we zoom in a bit and get some more details in here, I would have probably collected it down here. You got to remember, verdigris forms wherever water will form. So yes, it would form here, but it wouldn't particularly form around here as much as it would, say, down here. This area, this is going to be really nitpicky, but this area here under the arms, and then around inside the collar, and then like inside the exhausts, all just needs a little bit more detailing, a little darkening. But this is one of the problems with painting a model you've already built. It is almost impossible to get into those areas without, you know, making a mess. I'm not sure if that's the head that comes with this Dreadnought or if that's a different one. Either way, I like it. I always like the kind of Mark II look to them. The blue is nice and dark. I like that, but there is some good shading in it. You know, it moves around. You've got some variation there. The chipping, again, the chipping is fantastic. It looks like it's in the right places. You know, it's not just thrown on willy-nilly. It actually shows points of wear. You know, areas that are going to be brushing against things. They're going to get chipped. They're going to get damaged. All in all, yeah, really like all of that. It's solid. It's a really solid model. The pose is probably one of my favourites that we're going to see in this video. But yeah, this is a really solid model. It's just things like this. Maybe build it and paint it with the arms off next time. Run some black ink in here. Just get these. These always get me. I always end up going back and doing these over and over again because I keep missing them. Yeah, so don't worry. This gets me all the time as well. But yep, from the tabletop, this is going to look absolutely fantastic. Next up, unfortunately, it's an unpainted model. But that's okay. Doesn't matter about that. And this one is by Judas. So the last one was Toxic. This one's Judas. And the reason I've got this one is I really like the use of the Leviathan head on this Venerable Dreadnought. He's made it nice and plain, more or less, so it fits in with the sort of heresy aesthetic. I'm not such a big fan of what you've done with the arms. Again, you know, you want to pose them differently. I just think that they look a bit too far spaced out, personally. But the posing on the Dreadnought, it's a bit, I don't know, I'm struggling to see what is the Dread actually doing here. If you think about this pose, the way that the feet are turned, you know, the way the waist is, the way he's turning. If you think of it as a person, the pose is very unnatural. It's not a comfortable pose, which again, I know it's a Dreadnought. Comfort's not exactly on the high priority there, but just think about how he's going to move. So those sorts of things are just a bit weird. I have never particularly liked the fingered Power Fist. I've only ever used it once, and that was on a Contempt Dreadnought. But I like this head. I really wanted to touch this. This looks great. I really like that. That really helps tie this together. It's like a 30k thing, and I just think it looks fantastic. I like the you know, the smoke launchers are on there. You've got the spotlight. I just think tweaking some of these edges, pull the arms in a bit, and maybe look a bit at what's going on with the pose. But it's a solid model. I look forward to seeing it painted. Next up, we have Fungus with his Imperial Fist Leviathan, and it is his second model ever. Always hate it when people like that. Here's my first ever painted model. Drop something that looks like it would win Golden Demon. It's like, ugh, you people disgust me. It's cool. I like the conversion that you've gone for the assault cannon nips. Very Imperial Fist, very Daka. The dual storm cannons. I mean, this is the kind of Dreadnought where you are just rolling dice, and that is great. I like the red and the white helmet and how that, you know, ties into being sort of an Imperial Fist veteran. You've got like the Templar Brethren Maltese cross on there. You know, he's worked with them. Using black as the secondary colour is good. You've got the Assault Cadre decal and the Terran veteran. It's some great storytelling on here. The chipping, I've probably gone a little bit heavier personally, but that's just me. The base, if we just bring that up a little bit, is, again, it's nice and thematic. You know, I can see it's a bombed out burn sort of urban environment. It's blended nicely into the legs. Lots of weathering powder. The only thing I would probably change, and this is such a tiny nitpick about the base, is I would have blended the feet into the base a bit more. You know, show that it is displacing the dirt. You know, try to really show that the the weight of the Dreadnaugh. And you can do that with things like mud effects, like the Vallejo mud, or the technical paints you get from Games Workshop. Or if you just really want to, you know, save money, just some sand and PVA glue. Just make some textured paint or something. The next big one, it has to be the drill the barrels. You know, looks like there's a little bit of flash or something there that just needs chopping off and tidying up, and then get those barrels drilled. And then by the look of it, there is a slight mold line or seam on the front of the helmet. I might be wrong, but that's what it looks like to me. Just maybe fill that in with a little bit of plastic glue. Same with the ones along here on the front. You just tidy them up and fill them in. Obviously not because you've already painted it, but on the next one. Yeah, and this is absolutely solid. I mean, this really does show just how impressive a model can be. With just, you know, with weathering, you know, you don't need edge highlighting, you don't need wonderfully subtle blending or anything. You can get some really impressive models using little more than, you know, 2 or 3 colors. So fantastic work here, really impressive, Fungus, so keep it up. Now this one is by Dr. Ono, channel friend, regular. He submitted several, but I wanted to just cover this one. And it's his Black Templar Redemptor. Oh. And I really like the palette, the colour palette he's gone for, with the classic kind of John Blanche-esque yellow plasma cannon with the red flames. The limiting himself kind of to the Zorn palette. You know, it's not white, it's like an off-white. The yellows, the reds are in there nicely. All in all, the feel of this model is really nice, and from the tabletop it looks fantastic. But there are just a couple of bits I would look at tidying up. So, for example, the yellow here on the plasma cannon is a bit thin in places. It's kind of going a bit green in places. So what I would recommend is actually painting anything that you're going to paint in this very pale yellow. Because it's a very light yellow. It's not like an orangey yellow. It looks much more yellow. You know, something like AK deep yellow. I would start with a flesh color. You know, a Bugman's Glow, Cadian flesh tone, that sort of thing. A nice kind of like bronzy flesh tone base coat for anything you're going to paint yellow will give you a considerably smoother and better yellow to go for. You'll get none of that green undertone that you get if you paint yellow over black or grey. You don't need to worry about doing like pink shading or anything. You know, it's not everything's the Goober Town stuff. But start with like a skin tone and work your way up to yellow. If you want, you can keep mixing them together until you get to pure yellow. If you haven't got time for that, one coat of skin tone and then the yellow over that is absolutely fine. The OSL around the light, I would tidy it up so it's a bit more even. You do not want any hit around here, you know, in here. These areas will be shadow because it's coming up in a cone, basically. Think of it like that. So it's going to hit this edge and spill over. It's going to hit these edges as well. It's not going to hit around here. Paint this yellow and mix a little bit of white in, and then run some white just along the edges where the sort of the casing is of the light, and it will just help it make it stand out a bit. The metallics, add a little bit of silver into your metallics that you're working with, and you can just do some slight highlights on here. It won't take away from the effect of the colour you're after, it will just accentuate it slightly. Got some bits to tidy up around here, and yeah, the weathering is fine. It's just a couple of bits where it needs a little bit more tidying up. For the writing here, both on this bit here, you know, on the side, and on the actual banner bit here in the middle, get yourself a 0.1mm fine marker, like black fine line pen, and try using that after you've gloss varnished, matte varnished, you've got the model finished. Try using just the marker, and you will find you'll be able to write on it, and you'll get your really fine squiggly lines for your text, and it will look so much better. I've always, I've hated trying to write with a brush. It's next to impossible for me. So next up, we've got a couple of Night Lords Contemptors by Tactical Nuke. And I really like these, because I looked at them first and I was like, well, those are kind of a bit weird and not particularly good looking. And then I looked closer and realised how detailed he's actually gone. And I shut my mouth, because these are considerably better than I thought they were. You got some wonderful, like, non-metallic metal style highlights on the blue here, to actually just sort of pop in those manual highlights. The chipping is actually highlighted to give a fake 3D effect. Now, I do this to some of my chipping, but not very often, because it is incredibly time consuming. And you can see it here really well on the helmet here. Absolutely fantastic work. The posing is a little bit weird in places, but that base actually looks kind of small. Is that a correct size base? Maybe it's just the way it's posed. He uses the over-the-top missile pods. I've always preferred these to the new missile pods. The new ones are awful. The twin ones always look much better. You can see more of the speculative highlights and the chipping, and it just looks fantastic. It really does. Here's another one close up. I love this. The Death Guard Dreadnaugh is one of my favourites by far. Aesthetically, I think it just looks absolutely brutal. And the way that the dirt is collecting and then running down, yeah, this has shown that you've got a real good eye for, for dirt, for how things weather, how things wear, how this item is already old and it's going to have been collecting grime, and it's a war machine. It's not something you keep pretty. It's not a display piece. This isn't something that goes on parade. This is a killing machine, and it doesn't go to nice places. It goes to horrible places, and it does horrible things to people. So I really like this. The subtle highlighting on the eye lens is really good. And this sort of desaturated blue is really nice too. This one's a bit weird because of the posing. It's got its leg raised up to like kick you, which is a bit weird, but I'll forgive it because it looks absolutely fantastic. So really like that. Really solid. Really, really like these ones. So after Tactical Nuke, we have Pasta Juice, and if you have sat in Discord with me and Pasta, you know that he is a special person. And I was not familiar with Pasta's game. He's pretty good. Now these aren't finished, as you can see. They are, they're work in progress. But the shading on the grey here is really nice. The use of brass etch parts is really nice. The bases are particularly good. They really do look like a wet, soggy, World War I-esque brutal conflict base. Again, with the Templars, he's gone for that kind of Zorn palette of greys and off-whites, reds, yellows, browns. Avoiding things like blues and greens. The coolest colours are the blacks. Everything else is kind of warm, and yeah, they look really fantastic. And he's got two of them here. He's got a Leviathan as well, and the posing on this Leviathan, it does look very almost dismissive to me. It's just turned and just brrr, and that's it. Go away, stop bothering me. Use of some classic Black Templar bits there and some new Black Templar bits. Really, really nice. I do like the kind of bluey black you've got going on. The chipping as well. Looks like you've actually scored some of the chipping in, which is again not something people do often. But the chipping, the way you've paid attention, you've chipped the white over the decals because they're just painted on as well. It shows again that you have a really good eye for this sort of thing. Ooh. And that's great. I really like the look of that. You know, the subtle effect on the eyes are, it's not overdone. It shows a great precision as well, so that's really impressive. Next up, we have Rational Ginger with his 3D printed 1K Suns or 1000 Suns box Dreadnought, and I couldn't get through this without putting a 1000 Suns model in, because I love the 1000 Suns and I love box Dreadnoughts. It's not my favourite 3D print, but there are very few box Dreadnought prints out there that are any good. I love the Mark IV Dreadnought that Forge World used to do. This is quite close, not quite, it's off by a little bit, but it's quite an interesting design. I like how clean it is. It doesn't have too much filigree or detailing like a 40k Dread would. And I love this red. It's a really nice kind of amaranthy, slightly pinky red, from what I can see in these pictures. And the base is fantastic. This really is, you know, I love it because it's the sort of 40k-esque aesthetic of, am I living on a planet? You know, am I walking through the bowels of a city, or is this actually just a crashed spaceship? Or, you know, what's below me? Am I stood in somewhere where people are supposed to be, or is this the remnants of, you know, the sewer system, an incinerator, you know, an engine compartment or something? I love it. The whole Necromunda-esque kind of underhive and just massive, that sort of Titan-esque construct of building, like mega structures, that sort of thing. Just something that is so huge, made by man, that your brain takes a moment to understand it. I love that. I love all of that. Plus, it is the traditional plasma cannon close combat weapon loadout, which is one of my favourite for Dreadnoughts. Nice decal work, nice and clean. I personally would have chipped the ever-living hell out of it, but that's just me. I'd like to see more of your 1000 Suns, so please feel free to post them up, because this looks great. Now, I've got two more here. And the last one is by Huron. You may know Huron from the Discord. And this one is a callback. This one is a little bit special, but it's a little bit ridiculous. Huron has a 3D printed version of the card Dreadnought that was included in the 2nd edition starter set. So rather than give you an Orc Dreadnought, they printed a picture onto a piece of card and gave it a stand, and that was used to stand in for your games as a Dreadnought, you know, to give the Orcs something extra to tackle the sort of 20 odd Space Marines that were in the box. This is one of those silly hobby throwbacks that I absolutely adore, and it was this very Dreadnought, this card Dreadnought, that inspired my own Orc Death Dread that you saw in a recent video. So this is silly, it's ridiculous, and I love it. But lastly, and most importantly, is another model by Dr. Ono. And it is the most quintessential Dreadnought ever created. It is an unstoppable machine of justice, the biggest Dread you will ever see. It's Judge Dredd himself. Absolutely peak. So thank you very much, guys, for those of you who submitted stuff. If you didn't get chosen, I do apologise. Keep submitting your work for some feedback, and, you know, I will get to you. But yeah, for everyone whose models were shown here, thank you for sharing them. I hope the criticism wasn't too mean. I hope you enjoyed. For everyone who hasn't, you know, submitted, give it a go. You know, if you're in the Discord, drop some stuff in. I apologise for everyone who isn't in the Discord. We're not opening it at the moment due to some issues. But feel free, you can submit it. You know, you can submit stuff to me to have a look at through the community tab, and I'm more than happy to see your stuff there. We had some posts on there recently, a guy who painted a high elf using nothing but oil paints, and I may be looking at doing something similar myself. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. Have a great day. My name is Bando, this is Brexit Bando, and if you are looking at buying the new Horus Heresy 3rd edition starter set, the books, or anything like that, I would remind you that Element Games will get you 20% off, And if you use my code JAM737, it will double the reward points you get. Plus, it's one of the best ways of supporting the channel. But if you can't, or you're not going to buy these things, or you're not based in the UK, feel free just to like, comment, subscribe. That will always help as well. Have a great day. Bye-bye.